Continuing through this day of racing at the 2023 National Championship Air Races in Reno, this is T6 racing. This is going to be the last heat for the gold class before the gold medal race tomorrow, Rob Lowe.
Yes, sir, Tommy. This is going to be very exciting. These are the, as you just heard from the house announcers, the fastest T6s on the planet. There is only about 150 T6 S&Js still flying in the world out of 15,000 built, and these are the fastest of the fast. We're about to see take off here in just a second.
We have our defending champion in the field. We've got other champions many times in the past among these six.
And Tommy, you see the aircraft maneuvering on the runway, preparing to take off. The first aircraft that will lead the takeoff is our pace plane, piloted by Mr. Rob Sandberg. And they will get off, get up, and then the aircraft will depart behind them in qualifying order. And we have 6 aircraft in this heat today. Like you said, Tommy, this is the final heat. And there we see on departure is our pole position, Mr. Chris Rushing. Thousand Oaks, California in Barron's Revenge. Race 14.
There he is. Times champion here. Chris Rushing, veteran of this T6 racing. And there's race 66, Vic McMahon for Vancouver, British Columbia. Gunslinger AT6A, race 66.
Tommy, all of the aircraft in this heat are AT6s, the Army Air Corps version, except this one. This is John Lomar, Radio Velocity Race 88. This is an S&J, the Navy Marine version. John is out of Galesburg, Illinois. And we have an in-camera view you can see on the inset from him.
Here's Nick Macy, big-time veteran of this, and so successful through the years. 6 victories in T6 racing here, and that is race number 6, the 6 Cat.
Behind him in race 50, the white and yellow airplane, Vitaly Pechersky out of Van Nuys, California. Airplane we know as Abracadabra, another AT6.
There we go, race 43, fresh from his victory in the T6 drag racing semifinals. Joel Stennett, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Midnight Miss 3, race 43.
And then bringing up the rear is this beautiful blue cowled AT6, and you see the open canopy. They actually have a drawing here. Lucky fans get the opportunity to ride in the back and observe, and there is what you see in the back. That is our observer that has won the lucky drawing, and they will follow the pace plane when the race starts. Tommy, they will pull up and orbit above. That is a safety observer function. They can provide air-to-air support if needed, if any of the racers should need that. But what a great opportunity to ride in a fantastically historic aircraft here in the T6 class.
Ride of a lifetime, to be sure. Well, as our planes are up in the air and headed towards the west, that's the direction they'll approach from when they get sorted out up there. Get turned back toward the east. Take a few moments to talk to some of our 2 top qualifiers. How about that? Starting with second place qualifier, Vic McMahon. Race 66.
This year is the best we've ever done. We qualified second in the gold, and I think the best we ever did prior to that was 4th. And so we're excited about that. It's the airplane's running good. We've done a few things to it to try to get a few more miles an hour out of it, and running a few things differently inside the cockpit. Things are working out so far.
Vic McMahon qualifying at 222 miles an hour and change. Our plane's still in flight there. It'll be a few minutes before they get turned around and ready to descend upon our race course. Let's hear now from the 4-time champion here, the defending champion, as a matter of fact, from Thousand Oaks, California, Chris Rushing.
We'll be racing the second heat race today at about noon. It's going to be real competitive. The guys are flying great. Some of the planes are really doing well. So there should be a good race for second and third and fourth. There's been some really fast gold airplanes out here through the years. So I don't know why those guys are getting slower where we're just kind of staying where we are. I know the engines are a little different these days. They're running stock engines and everything, but I do understand that, you know, when when you're the lead dog, everybody's out to get you.
Well, the last few years, that man has been the lead dog. Chris Rushing, our defending champion. He'll be a hard one to take down, Rob, but we've seen stranger things happen, that's for sure.
We have, and this is this group racing on Thursday, Tommy, in Heat 1A. So an earlier in the week heat race of these gold class airplanes, but here you see the same group bunched up, and Rushing was out in the lead. Here you see a group in behind as they make their way around, but they kind of settled out. You have a little bit of passing back in the pack. You see John Lomar there in the left in the blue and yellow aircraft making his way through the pack, but it was a great gold race. We got to see people begin to play out some of their strategies and make their way around. We did, like I said, have a little bit of pack grouping in the back of the pack, but right up front, race 14, Chris Rushing with the checkered flag.
Absolutely, and a great finish for second, third, and fourth, especially second and third. Vic McMahon just closing out John Lomar right there. A lot of excitement. T6 brings us lots of thrills, seems like every time.
And speaking of John Lomar, we saw him depart a minute ago, and we've seen a couple glimpses of it. We have the opportunity to look over his shoulder during this race, Tommy, with an in-cockpit camera. So we'll be showing you that off and on throughout this whole race. You'll get to see what it's like to ride in one of these spectacular, historic T6 aircraft. You know, primary advanced trainers from the World War II era that we're racing here in Reno. In our 59th year, our final flag. This is part of the fastest motorsport on the planet, and we are really excited to see this. This being the final heat race of 2023, Tommy, in the T6 class.
That's right.
So this is where it's going to all sort out, and it will be all medal races tomorrow for these folks.
This group here will be most likely the group going for the gold tomorrow. Maybe a slight adjustment or two, but this is basically the core of the top level T6 racing.
And we introduced the field just a minute ago. What you see on the screen, the aircraft leading this in-trail formation is the pace plane, and then you see your 6 racers behind it, and great inset on the right there from John Lomar, right in the middle of the pack there. The blue and yellow S&J, our only Navy and Marine version in this. The rest are AT6s, and the crew will continue to make a left-hand turn there. And as you heard the house announcer explain right before we came on, they come down the chute together, line abreast, and we will hear the pace plane say, "Gentlemen, you have a race," just like we do in a lot of classes. But what's different is they are coming from west to east, right down runway 8, and they will drop into our just under 5-mile T6, 7-pylon long course, T6 course here. And we're going to get to hear these great big Pratt & Whitney 9-cylinder air-cooled radial engines as they just scream. We'll hear the engines rumble. We'll hear a crackling noise above that at high speed. That'll be the tips of those 9-foot-long metal Hamilton standard propellers going supersonic. And the racing adrenaline will be incredible in the cockpits. But this class, Tommy, has our fans on their feet almost the entire race. This is a very highly rated and high-level fan favorite class. You can see them continue to make the turn. You see the smoke on our pace plane. Bottom of the screen there, that is the ride observer plane we talked about earlier. So all your racers are there, pace plane on the right with the smoke, and then your pole position, 1, 2, 3, from your right to your left on this view. You can see they're coming downhill now, Tommy. We are almost ready to go.
Keep your eyes on the top qualifier, Chris Rushing, race 14. That's a gray and red airplane. And also on 2, 3, and 4 qualifiers as well. They all qualified at 222 miles an hour. You saw some of the results from that 1A race we showed you little highlights from right there. That was a race.
Now, Tommy, you'll hear gentlemen, you have a race. The pace plane will pull up and away. The aircraft can accelerate out in front of each other. They just can't turn in until we get to the east end of the course and we begin to go around the pylons. They have to get around the pylons. And there we are, we're underway, Tommy. The race is on, the throttles are up. Those propellers are spinning now. Here they come, right in front of you, right in front of the camera, right in front of the crowd. Another great look from John Lomar as we get to see what it looks like to ride an historic T6 aircraft here at Reno. Oh, baby, Tommy, I'm telling you, that sound just really sends the chills down your spine. And our leader, Chris Rushing, race 14 from the pole, is now out front. You see a little bit of jockeying behind as everybody finds their position. And you see John Lomar right there in blue and yellow aircraft. And he is jockeying for position there at second place. You get to see a great view out his window of the competitor right there in front of him, 50 feet off the deck over the sagebrush, Tommy. There's our leader on the left, Chris Rushing, as he makes his way around the west end of our course. Pylons 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Rushing again, the defending champion here. Last year, 22. Looks like in second place looks to be John Lomar, although we won't know for sure until they come. We're right about here on the race course.
He's in third. I think that's Vic McMahon right there beside him.
Yeah.
Vic has got the little bit of the inside track and was able to keep his nose out in front of John. And in the inset here for the in-cockpit view as they come around that pylon, you can see Vic coming in and out of camera view in that little inset as we watch the leader on the big screen to the left half of our screen there. And Tommy, look in that inset in-cockpit view. Look at the shadow over the ground. That's how low and fast we're going. And there you see a great shot of Vic McMahon just ahead of John Lomar. Here we watch on the left side some of our competitors a little farther back. But on the left now you can see John Lomar really gaining some ground on Vic McMahon, pulling up beside him as they begin to make their way around through that turn and head back towards their portion of the Valley of Speed.
Those two back and forth throughout the race. And Macy not far behind.
We talked early on about the qualifying speeds being within tenths of a second between these three aircraft that are now battling for basically second, third, and fourth position. But our leader right there, race 14, continues to stay out front. Chris Rushing and Barron's Revenge.
Race 66 in second place, Vic McMahon, and right behind him, John Lomar. The blue airplane with yellow stripes.
Great view. First place on the left side of your screen, second and third on the right out of the cockpit. There they are. You can see how close John Lomar is there on the left when you look at him from across the race course and also out the cockpit. Only here at the National Championship Air Races will you get the opportunity to ride in a T6 in the final heat race for the gold class.
Race for second is likely going to come down to the last few seconds of this race here. We're already in lap 3 of 5.
So we're over halfway, Tommy, and they are about 2/3 of the way through lap number 3. Now, like all closed course pylon racing, you got to pass on the outside, and you see that's what John Lomar is trying to do, trying to get enough energy to make his way by. But as we see the leader again on the left, Barron's Revenge with Chris Rushing continues to hold out, but look here, John Lomar is gaining on Vic McMahon. Here he's making a run on him as we come by the whole pylon.
Flying his race, absolutely, according to the book. Having no problem with any competition so far.
Yeah, this battle for second, Tommy, is really heating up. We're on lap 4 of 5. They are here. John Lomar's making a run. Look at that, out the cockpit on the right. Across the race course on the left. He's got some speed, got some momentum. Can he do it, Tommy? Can he hold that longer track around pylons 4, 5, and 6 here? McMahon has the shorter course because he's inside. This is shoulder-to-shoulder, wingtip to wingtip racing. You'll only see it here at Reno, Tommy.
There should be approaching. Begin his final lap. Picking up the white flag any second right now. And look at this. John Lomar just cannot get it past.
He's got some momentum, Tommy. He's got his nose out in front. Let's see if he gets far enough where he can cut in the. He's got to get all the way around him enough where he can pull back inside, and I'm not sure he got far enough out in front, which leaves him on the longer track around those pylons for this very last time, around 1, 2, and 3. He lost a little bit of momentum as they started that turn, rolled it up on the wing. The energy bleeds a little bit as the wing begins to load. Now here he's going to convert some of that altitude into airspeed and make probably one more attempt down the backstretch here. Wow, you get to see it out the cockpit there on the right. He's got momentum. You can see he's gaining on him. You can see that on the left as well. But can he get enough to get in front around these last 4 pylons? They're about to start a left turn here in about 3 seconds. There it is, a little early, and they are around the final 4 pylons here on their way back home.
Let's cut away from that. Take a look at Chris Rushing as he approaches the start-finish pylon here. He'll be taking the checkered flag right here for his victory in T6 2A. And now, back to the race for second place, John Lomar. Vic McMahon, Lomar in the blue plane, Vic McMahon in the black plane.
Wow, you see him there on the screen on the right, what it is. McMahon continues to have the speed as they approach the home pylon, and he's going to hold him off, Tommy. Second and third right there. Look at this great battle for 4th and 5th.
Chersky up in front, Stinnett.
What a great race, Tommy. 6 racers, shoulder to shoulder all the way around. And we had the amazing in-cockpit view. Now here was our start. You see our leader, Chris Rushing, on the pole, gets the first turn, and right from the start, it is Vic McMahon and John Lomar, the 2 blue airplanes. They fought for second and third the entire time, Tommy. It was full-blown adrenaline. I'm sure they're both sweated through their flight suits. They are working hard right here.
Sometimes they only look close, but you could see through that cockpit view, and sometimes they were very, very close. I mean, jaw-droppingly close.
Yeah, Lomar gave it everything he had. You know, this really is almost a truly match stock racing with very equal aircraft, and you see the pilot skill coming into play. And Lomar, an amazing pilot, really did everything he could to try and squeeze it out. But Vic McMahon, equally as great a pilot, did everything he could to keep his airplane moving and stay out in front. And here you see as we get to the last portion of the race, McMahon's able to hold that advantage of that shorter inside track. But there's our leader, and Chris Rushing. Barron's Revenge, race 14. And this is the last time down the backstretch. You see Lomar has some momentum, but he just never could get quite far enough in front to be able to cut down and take the shorter course. And here as we come to the checkered flag, we see the inboard on cockpit camera from John Lomar. Just a spectacular view. The shadow on the ground, look at that, folks. 50 feet off the deck, and there is the competitor. There's Vic McMahon right in front of you. Tommy, 230 miles an hour plus over the desert, 50 feet over the sagebrush, really almost wingtip to wingtip the entire race.
Amazing, amazing stuff. Hey, congratulations to Chris Rushing on his win there unofficially, and great thanks for Lomar and McMahon for showing us a great, great race for second place.
Yeah, all the way around this class, you see why this group of 6 is in the gold class. Very competitive, very equally matched, and I think we have really set ourselves up for an amazing gold medal race tomorrow, Tommy.
T6 Heat 2A, and there it is, Chris Rushing unofficially. 14 Barron's Revenge. Vic McMahon holding off John Lomar. Man, 66, race 66. Gunslinger, Radio Velocity 88 was John Lomar's playing the blue one there. Nick Macy in the 6 Cat in 4th. Vitaly Pechersky in 5th place at Abracadabra 50. And Joel Stinnett, 43, Midnight Miss. T6 2A.